Welcome back to another video. Today's topic is helping to remind you that you are stronger than you think. Before we jump into that, this channel is about surviving and recovering from narcissistic abuse as it pertains in divorces and when you have children. This channel is open to both men and women, moms and dads, and anybody else who can find this information useful. If you think it would be helpful for you, please consider subscribing, hitting the bell notification, and liking this video so that you don't miss a thing. All right, so this has come up from a bunch of actually a really bunch of conversations that I've had in the last week. It's really been bizarre that this has been a topic that I've been talking to people about regularly just this last week. So must mean it's a good idea for a video topic. So let's just jump into this. And the main thing on this is that oftentimes we forget how strong we really are, how much we've actually progressed, how strong we are to really deal with all of this. It's really tough because when you're in the midst of all this and you're getting beat down and it seems like every time you turn around there's another freaking roadblock that comes up or a landmine that goes off, it makes it really tough. It makes you feel as if you're not really that strong, that you're barely holding it together, and that it's just a house of cards that's getting ready to fall apart. The reality of this is you really are a hell of a lot stronger than you think. You are definitely a hell of a lot stronger than your narcissistic antagonist wants you to think. They want you to think and feel that you are weak, that you are about ready to break, that you can't handle much of this anymore because they want you on the ropes. They want you to feel like you are inferior to them. And oftentimes we do feel that way. Oftentimes we get so worn out, so run down, so just beat up that it feels like they control the game, that everything is for them and everything is against us. And that is a very demoralizing situation to be in. The thing on this is it is really tough in the midst of this to remember the successes that we've had. It's really tough. I way struggled with this. There were many times where I was so fixated on what was going wrong and I wasn't looking at what was going right. I mean, bottom line, probably 90% of us on this channel, at least we got away. At least we are no longer in the direct control of the same house as the ex. Now, granted, there's a few people out there who are early in this process and might still be in that situation, but most of the time, the single greatest victory we have on this is getting away from them, to getting them out of our bubble, giving us an opportunity to have an objective view at our life, to be able to see things without that negative, toxic influence constantly, being whispered in our ear. You need some distance from the person to really recover from this. And honestly, that is a huge victory and one that every one of us needs to remember. I say that talking from experience because there was a good portion of time to where even though that was the case, I was so fixated on everything else that was going wrong that I would lose sight of that. And that's really what happens is we get so fixated on what they're doing or what they're getting away with or how their game is playing or how they're not being held accountable, how they get away with everything, that we don't focus on our own healing, what we have accomplished. And it's a real easy trap to get into because this hurts so damn much. It really does. I mean, you just get to the point that you just feel like every time you're turning around, you're getting railroaded. I know I just said that, but I think it's worth repeating because it really does hold us back and keep us fixated on them. Here's a simple reality on this, is that you have to remind yourself to slow down. Take a breath. Take a pause. Give yourself the time to just stop and breathe. I know that sounds so simple, but it is so easy to get wrapped up into this that we forget to do that. That you forget to take a breath, to take a pause. And once you do that, once you're able to slow yourself down, take a deep breath, really slow things down, you can start looking at things objectively and really having a better look at what's going on. And the best way to do that is to write down your successes, to grab a pen and literally a piece of paper and write down what is good. Like I said, the first thing being that you have, you're away from them. Then you just run it down the list. It's like, okay, I have breathing room. Maybe it's like I have my own place. Maybe it's, I'm able to see my kids sometimes if you're at that point. If you're not, if you're at the point where you're still not seeing your kids, you are building your case or your own story or your own defense to be able to start seeing your kids. For the most part, unless we make huge mistakes, the game that narcs like to play where they refuse you access to the kids normally is short-lived. When I say short-lived can be anywhere from 6 months to a year or two. In the grand scheme of things of this entire process, that can be short. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But run down the list of things that are positive. You want to have a way to remind yourself what you're grateful for, what's going right in your life, because on those times whenever you're feeling worn down and you're feeling beat down and you just don't know if you can do this, you need a way to remind yourself of what you have accomplished, of what is going on the strides you are making. Even if you're making just little bitty strides, like maybe your kids are not yelling at you all the time or whatever. I mean, just those little bitty victories are super important and so easy to overlook. They are way easy to overlook when other things are going wrong. When you have other problems, like in my situation, I had the IRS messing with me, child support services messing with me, I had my kids fighting with me, I had all these things going wrong. So it was real easy to lose sight of any victory. I felt like I wasn't making any progress, that everything was a complete mess. And when you get in that mode, it just builds on itself and it just feels worse and worse and worse. And you just can't even see any light at the end of the tunnel. Or if you see any light, you just assume it's a freight train coming your way. So the thing is you have to pivot your focus from focusing on the narcissist, focusing on everything they're getting away with, focusing all that, and pivoting it to yourself on how to make your life better, how to start improving your life, or how things are improving in your life. That is key. One of the biggest keys or takeaways on this is switching your focus, pivoting your focus from your antagonist to making your life better. It fundamentally changes the way you approach everything, the way you look at everything, and it makes a huge difference when you're trying to find some light at the end of the tunnel like I was just talking about. The other thing I want to mention is you have to be really careful who you surround yourself with and who you're listening to. If your little cadre of friends and support group are not helpful, or they're pointing things out, or even if they're not necessarily pointing things out saying, how messed up it is or how screwed up your life is, if they're just telling you what's going on with your ex, you need to phase those people out. You need to surround yourself with people who understand what you're going through, who are legitimately supportive, and who are not beating you down or helping beat you down. The problem is oftentimes for us, we unfortunately have surrounded ourselves with very toxic people who are there at a moment's notice to kick us in the shins and push us down and then throw dirt in your face. I mean, that's relatively common. Recognize that. When you see that your support group is not helping you, take charge of that and make changes that will actually help you to stabilize your environment, stabilize your sanity, and start helping you build up and get out of this mess. When you're able to do that, when you're able to make that shift, it makes it a heck of a lot easier to actually see the victories that you are having, and it makes it a lot easier to really see that you really are a strong person, that you really are making a tremendous amount of progress on this even though sometimes it doesn't feel that way, but you really are. And you have to remind yourself of it, and you have to surround yourself in an environment where you can remember that. And it's so easy to get surrounded by people who slowly whittle you down. You know, on top of you, I'm not talking about your ex, I'm even talking about family or friends that just aren't really helping you. And when that's the case, start phasing that out and really taking an objective look at your life and what you're allowing into your life so that you can help control, well, control's not the right word, but you can help shape your environment to help you remember that you are, in fact, a hell of a lot stronger than you think. You are way stronger than your narcissist antagonist ever want you to believe. This is like the kryptonite. They don't want you to realize that you have a hell of a lot more power than you think. So on that, I'm going to wrap this up. If you know somebody who could use this message, please consider sharing it. If you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing and ring the bell notification so that you don't miss a video. And I will catch you on the next one.